The last race of 2024 is here, the Ironman 70.3 World Championships. Can anyone stop Taylor Knibb's run of dominance? And is Cat Matthews guaranteed to be the first ever winner of the Ironman Pro Series? In this video, I'm going to break down my top 10 athletes from 10 down to 1. And at the top, this feels like a rematch of the T100 Grand Final, with 7 of the top 11 finishers all racing in Taupo. Similar to the video on the men, I have a quite clear 7 to 8 athletes I think will make it in the top 10, and then there's a whole range of athletes that could get the last few spots. I've had to overlook the likes of Laura Madsen, Nikki Bartlett, Tamara Jewett, Anna Bergston, Grace Tech, as well as other athletes chasing the Ironman Pro Series like Jackie Kering, Lottie Wilms and Hannah Berry. So at number 10, I've got Ellie Salthouse. She's coming off a narrow victory at Ironman 70.3 Melbourne, where she was able to hold off Anna Bergston on the run. She's enjoyed success at lower tier races this year, but has still found it difficult to get the better of long-term rival Paula Findlay, losing out to her at 70.3 St George and 70.3 Mont Tremblant. She'll have had this race circled for a long time, it being a world championship in the Southern Hemisphere. But looking back at her history at 70.3 World Championships, she's tended to struggle. She's finished outside the top 10 in her last 4 appearances, with her only top 10 result coming in 2018. With the prep she's put into this race, I'm expecting her to get back into the top 10 in Taupo, but it will be far from easy with the other names I've listed off. At 9, we've got Marta Sanchez. She's coming off an impressive win at 70.3 Western Australia over many athletes that will be competing for a top 10 finish in Taupo. For me, she's had the biggest breakthrough of any athlete this year. Coming into the season, she hadn't won an Ironman branded event before. Since then, she's won 70.3 Pucon, Ironman South Africa. She was 6th at the 70.3 European Championships, 6th at the Ironman World Championship in Nice, and then just 2 weeks later won Ironman Barcelona. And like I said, she's coming off her first win in the Ironman Pro Series at 70.3 Western Australia. She'll turn her attention to the Pro Series next year and looks like a legit threat for the overall podium. Her strong swim and bike will set her up well for the fight for the top 10 in Taupo. Expect to see her come out of the water with the likes of Ashley Gentle and Imogen Simmons. At 8, I've got Solveig Lovseth. The Olympian is making her first appearance at a 70.3 World Championship, and after wins at 70.3 Indian Wells and 70.3 Warsaw, she's looking like a threat to challenge for the top 5. She went head-to-head with Cat Matthews and Caroline Pohl at 70.3 Tallinn and had to settle for 3rd after losing time on the run. However, more time on the TT bike and specific prep into this race should see her feature heavily. In short course, she's weakest in the swim, and that appears to still be an issue over the middle distance. She lost close to a minute to Cat Matthews in Tallinn, albeit that was a slightly funky swim course with a long run into the water. If she can come out of the water with Matthews, then they would make an interesting combo on the bike where Lovseth is at her best. She's shown she can run solid times over the half marathon, posting a 1:20 and a 1:19, but they probably won't be enough to run with the likes of Cat Matthews. Paula Findlay is in 7th. It's been another consistent year of racing for the Canadian, finishing in the top 6 in 4 out of her 5 T100 races, but she wasn't able to crack the podium. With the best athletes racing nearly every race, making the podium at this level has become so much harder than it used to be, and the arrival of Julie Doran has only made that even harder. Findlay finds herself in a bit of a void. She can go and win pretty much any Pro Series 70.3 or has to settle for fighting for the top 5 on the T100 circuit. She's coming off a disappointing race at the T100 Grand Final. She's always tended to struggle in the heat more than her competitors, so I'm sure she'll be pleased to see the cooler temperatures in Taupo. 7th would be her worst finish at a 70.3 World Championships since 2019, and given I think this course suits her better than any of the T100 courses this year, maybe I'm a bit too low on her. Let me know what you think in the comments. Will we see Findlay back on a top level podium in Taupo? Caroline Pohl is in 6th, and she definitely has potential to be higher than this. And if I'd been writing this at the start of September, I probably would have had her even higher. She had a breakthrough performance at 70.3 European Championships in Tallinn, getting the better of Kat Matthews and Solveig Lovseth, and then she backed it up just a week later in Zelampsy, again taking the win. These performances earned her a call up to the T100 series, but illness kept her out, and it looks like she might still be having some problems. She raced 70.3 Bahrain on her way over to Taupo and fell short against George Taylor-Brown and Tanja Neubert. Not to take anything away from those performances, but I definitely would have expected Pole to give them a bit more of a challenge, and she revealed after the race that again she'd been dealing with some illness. So it looks like Bahrain isn't a good indicator for her form, and on her day she could lead out the swim and make a good go riding with Taylor Knibb. Whether that's a sensible move tactically to risk going all in with the American, I wonder if she'd be better keying off someone like Imogen Simmons. They would make a dangerous duo on the bike. Either way, Pole is a legit threat for the podium if she's healthy. In fifth, I've got Imogen Simmons. Now if we flash back to August last year, she had a breakthrough month, finishing second at the 70.3 European Champs, fourth at the Asian Open, and then third at 70.3 World Championship in Lahti, which established her as one of the best middle distance triathletes in the world once again. She's been focused on the T100 series this year, with highlights of second in London and that fourth in San Francisco. Halfway through the run in the T100 Grand Final, she was on track to finish in the top 4 of the overall series, but a blow-up on the back half of the run dropped her to 9th in the race and 9th in the standings. However, she's still guaranteed a contract for next year. She's clearly shown she can be a threat at this level, and it's her swim-bike combo that could cause damage to the rest of the field. Like I've said, Simmons and Pole will be a fun combo if they can't follow Taylor Knibb, and they are probably relatively similarly matched on the run, although Simmons has been training in Taupo for several weeks with Carl Smith and seems to be rounding into form just at the right time. At 4, I've got Kat Matthews. She's had the best year of her career with 2 Ironman wins, second in Nice and multiple T100 podiums. She sits second in the Ironman Pro Series behind Jackie Herring, but she's the firm favourite to win the overall series, needing to just finish within 34 minutes of the winner to guarantee victory. She was super impressive on the run in Dubai, moving through the field to finish 5th in the race and 4th overall in the series. The first big inflection point for her in the race will be the swim pack that she makes. Everyone else in my top 6 will likely come out of the water ahead of her. We've seen her typically ride with Laura Philipp and Lucy Byram in the T100 races. Neither are here to help carry the load, so she may end up riding by herself depending on where Lovseth is. She's one of the best riders in the field, so should be able to gain some ground, but if groups ahead are able to work together, then she may come into T2 with a deficit to the main chase pack. She's probably the 3rd best runner in the top 10 behind Darren and Gentle. I think she'll pick off the other athletes ahead of her, but may just miss out on the podium. Although I've underestimated her before and been proved wrong, fingers crossed it happens again. In 3rd, I've got Ashley Gentle. She's coming off that gutsy performance in Dubai where she went all in on the swim and bike, but came up short on the run, struggling with stomach issues, and had to battle her way to a 3rd place finish. That was the 2nd race in a row that she's been beaten by Taylor Knibb and Julie Deron. After 2 years of dominance over the 100k distance, some cracks have started to show as she tries to close the gap to Knibb. For one of the best middle distance triathletes of the last 3 seasons, this will be her first 70.3 world champs. She'll be bidding for her first world title and to end Taylor Knibb's streak of wins over the middle distance. It looked like Gentle was going to chase down Knibb in Dubai, and it was the heat that caused those stomach issues. Maybe similar tactics on the swim and bike and slightly cooler conditions will put her in the same position on the run where she's in striking distance. However, to recover from such a big effort can take time, so there's a lingering question of how deep she'll be able to push. I've got Julie Deron taking 2nd. She's been so impressive stepping up to the T100 series post-Olympics. She did race a couple middle distance races pre-Olympics, but at a much lower level. She's immediately established herself as the nearest rival to Taylor Knibb and will only improve the more time she spends on that TT bike. She's put down some crazy fast run splits over the year, so a deficit off the bike in the region of 3 to 4 minutes could pose some problems for Nib. Darren had a great swim in Dubai coming out of the water with Nib and the rest of that front pack. I think she needs to be at least with Gentle and Simmons out of the water to establish a strong pack on the road and limit damage to Nib out front. I'm really interested to see if the slight difference in distance has any impact whatsoever. In reality, it's only an extra 25 to 30 minutes of racing, which maybe isn't that material, but what could be significant is the draft zone. Darren can ride legally and save some extra energy for the run to chase down Nib. As she only raced 3 times in the T100 series, she was never really in contention with a shot to become world champion. So this will be her first real chance to claim a world title. She's just got to get the better of back-to-back champion Taylor Nib. Simple. So at number 1, I've got the reigning 70.3 world champion Taylor Nib, who's looking to claim her 3rd straight 70.3 world title. Something you would have thought is relatively unprecedented, but Daniela Ryf completed her very own three-peat a mere 5 years ago in 2019. Either way, Nib has been on an absolute tear over the middle distance ever since she won that first 70.3 world title back in 2022. She dominated the T100 series this year, winning all 4 races, finishing with that perfect score. She swam in the front pack, ridden away from the entire field, and then backed it up on the run. She has no weaknesses at this level, which has the majority of the field questioning if she's even beatable. Like I've said, Julie Duron has come the closest, but will those extra 3 kilometers on the run make any difference? Or will the extra 10k on the bike allow Nib to establish more of a gap? She may be unwilling to drive the pace on the swim, so probably see her in a pack with Caroline Pohl and Sarah Perez-Sala. I'm interested to see if Pohl can follow her at that 12-meter distance, but even if she does, Nib has shown her class on the run this year. In all likelihood, Nib rides away from everyone, and it comes down to how much time Darren, Gentle or Matthews can take back on the run. But I've got Taylor Nib completing that three-peat and becoming a double world champion with that T100 series. So there are my top 10 athletes. Just running through them again, I've got Ellie Salthouse at 10, in 9th Marta Sanchez, 8th Solveig Lovseth, 7th for Paula Finley, 6th for Caroline Pohl, in 5th Imogen Simmons, Kat Matthews just off the podium in 4th, Ashley Gentle in 3rd with Julie Duron in 2nd, and Taylor Nib picking up another world title. I mentioned at the start there are so many other athletes to follow during the race. We've got the fight for the Pro Series podium with Jackie Herring, Lottie Wilms and Hannah Berry, and we could see Nikki Bartlett impress at a World Championships again, or see athletes like Laura Madsen and Tamara Jewett thrive after disappointing results in the T100 Grand Final. So much to watch for. Make sure you subscribe down below and go check out the men's preview if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one.